Hey guys, we're here for a deck tech for the blue, white, red standard deck. Um, yeah, this is pretty much like a blue, white, red control, and similar to the Reckoner control that we often see around, and was quite famous on the previous Gate Crash Pro Tour. Um, This is similar to that, however, we have technically more spells than them, and we don't have Boros Reckoner on our main board, not even on the sideboard. The concept of the deck is to just play it like a control deck and eventually cast our threats in the form of Resto Angels and Aurelia. So it's pretty much setting up the board in such a way that we gain much card advantage and um, hit with our main hitters, which is Resto and Aurelia. Just to go over, we have our main board here, and then we'll discuss the sideboard as well. So in terms of land, we have one Cavern of Souls. Actually, we are using this just against the control matchup, and it also helps for the mana because whenever we cast Aurelia, it's gonna require us double red and double white, and it helps out. Mostly, it gets assigned as a angel, and situationally, we also use it for others like Thundermo, which is a dragon, which we'll discuss later on our sideboard. But definitely, it's more like assigning it as an angel. So we have one Cavern of Souls and then four Clifftop Retreats. We have a Desolate Lighthouse here. This is a very good card, especially when you are beginning to flood. There are certain points in the match where you get to draw consecutive lands. So this our way out of that. It really helps, especially if you're trying to dig for an answer, because mostly, given that we're a control deck, we normally need to find answers in order to establish or control the board. So Desolate Lighthouse really helps a lot on those. And we have four Glacier Fortress and then four Hallowed Fountain. Pretty much our base mana here is blue and white, and then red will be following shortly. But blue is definitely the plentiful or the more deck, so that's why we added an extra island on our main board. There's also a couple of Sacred Foundry. You may notice we only have two Shocklands for white and red because we don't really red is not entirely our priority during the first few turns. So, and we don't want to be taking too much damage off of our Shockland. So, we have just assigned a couple of Sacred Foundry and then four Steam Vents and four Sulfur Falls, which will comprise our blue mana. Alright, to go over the main cards here, for the white, we have three Restoration Angels. This, I'm sure of us knows that is one of the best printed cards in a long time, and it serves as our main threat actually. So, unlike other decks, you need to be very careful on or at least protect your Resto Angels because it's gonna be one of your main hitter. And then along with that, we have one Terminus. This is pretty much an answer for undying creatures. If you got swarmed by undying creatures and creatures like Falconrat Aristocrat and the other problem creatures, it's very good against Aristocrat decks and popular decks, which is getting some recognition now, which are the blue-green um, blue, black, green, which has a lot of undying and a lot of undying creatures. So if you can't kill a creature or having problems dealing damage with that, the only and if you're I place it here just an out in case I get swarmed with those types of creatures like Predator Ooze or Falcon Rat Aristocrat, which is very popular within the meta game. We have one unsummon. You may notice it's kind of awkward that we have only one unsummon here, but it has really proven its worth during the games, and um, it's not really too bad to have just one because we can always flash it back with Snapcaster Mage. It helps during the early games against aggro. You can buy some time while forming or waiting for your lands in order to cast your Supreme Verdict. And at the same time, it can help you save your Aurelia in case because Aurelia has haste, you might probably be hitting them. And on their turn, if they wipe the board, then you just leave one mana open, one blue mana open, and unsummon either Aurelia or either of your main hitters. So it helps out a lot in saving your not only in saving your creature and not only buying some time or tempo for yourself. Ogre of Bolas, we have 3 copies of this along with Snapcaster Mage. Ogre of Bolas, very good in finding out answers. Sometimes it breaks wherein you get to hit lands and creatures instead of your spells, but most of the time it does the job in getting you that needed card advantage. We have 3 Snapcaster Mage. Pretty straightforward. This is um, to bounce back or flashback the spells that we already spent. So in terms of answers, it gives an extra copy of the answers that we have already spent. Very good in killing also surprise. Surprise casting at the end of turn when you have a problem Planeswalker or like Liliana and the other Planeswalker. If you need that extra kick or extra damage, you can flashback a Searing Spear, hit the Planeswalker in the face or the player in the face, targeting the Planeswalker, and then follow up with an attack from Snapcaster Mage if the board is empty. So pretty much very useful. Against aggro, it's also done its part. It's a good blocker or at least trades 1 for 1 and flashes back either your unsummon or any of your delay type of cards. Now we have a couple of Think Twice. This goes along with our Azuri's Charm here, but mainly the reason for Think Twice is to just give us some cantrips or card advantage along the way during the end of turn of our opponent. Our counter or our denial package is in the form of Dissipate, 1 Dissipate and 2 Syncopates. Um, Despite being a control deck, we don't have much counter because counter spells are not too good in this format, but and it's pretty conditional. But if you time it correctly, it can gain you the much needed advantage. So most of the time, I save my counter for those times that I don't really have an answer, like a planeswalker or some spell, some bomb that they have in store for me. But most of the time, I save it, and if I happen to have an answer or I have a feeling that I'll draw an answer for that particular card that they've played, don't normally use the counter spells. Syncopate has done its part. It's very good, and you just need to time it um, promptly, or you need to time it very well. And be sure to count the mana of your opponent first before casting Syncopate because most of the time you might just miscount or they would be able to pay the X mana cost that you have just countered them with. Um, the reason being, Dissipate and Syncopate because they exile the actual threat that you have just countered, and it's very useful against junk rights or Reanimator decks, which is quite popular in the format, and Syncopate in a sense that it's whether you have several mana or only a few mana open, it can hit your opponent by surprise because normally they will play their spells if they don't see you having dissipate mana open, but along with that you have syncopate actually caught and get them by surprise. But other than that, both of them are good counter spell magic. Apart from that, we have our removal package here. We have four sealing spears and a pillar of flame. I used to run two pillars, but given that I can flash it back with Snapcaster, pillar has been quite good for me. I don't see a lot of zombie decks, or at least much of the Undying decks around, so having just one pillar is quite enough. If the meta changes in such a way that more undying and more problematic creature decks comes in, then it might be worth playing the filler. Searing Spear, straightforward, it's very good. At its instant speed with 3 damage, it can really save you a lot of trouble. And normally I also use it if I bring down my opponent in a burn rage, then I use it on the face of the opponent actually. Azura's Charm, pretty probably one of the best charm in my opinion because it buys me some time. If at all my opponent gets to um, attack or block and uses a card on that particular creature that he owns, then you can get them on a situation where it's a 2 for 1, sometimes even 3 for 1. If they use all their mana on a Kesigulfran, then it's or some sort of a land that augments their creature, Gavoni Township or Vault of the Archangel is quite useful just to prevent them to get that advantage. And not to mention, it's very good against aggro in order to buy yourself some time. And if you happen to stabilize the board and want to get off of the current low life that you have, when you get to cast one or two creatures and use that life link during attack or during blocking, it's really very helpful in order to get yourself out of the burn range. Because normally the strategy for aggro is that they will just bash you continuously until you are on burn range. Despite you are able to wipe the board, you are very much susceptible on being burned, and Azura's Charm can get you that necessary life back. We don't have Thragtusk, we don't have Rock's Fate Mentor on the deck, so Azura's Charm, you might just need to play it very wisely. Detention Spears here, normally I place it on the sideboard, but during situations wherein I get flooded with Boros Reckoners or again another answer to Falcon Rat Aristocrats, and with the current behavior of the aggro these days, they normally cast a couple of Burning Tree Emissaries or a couple of um, Stormcake Nobles, even Rakdos Cracklers. It really helps if you can 2 for 1 them, and it saves you a lot of time in order to restabilize the situation. It's also good against planeswalkers, provided that we don't have much permanence that is being used. Because the problem with detention spear, you cannot detention spear the opponent's one. So given that I don't have much permanence worth detention spearing, then I don't really mind running a detention spear on my end. So it really helps a lot for that particular answer where it's slip past your counter spell. So if it happens to if they happen to play around your counter spell, then at least you have one answer for that particular spell that they have just casted, and it's detention spear. I have a couple of Supreme Verdict here, so you might notice that we have three board wipes. Supreme Verdict, of course, this is useful against aggro decks wherein you need to just completely wipe the board before you get bashed, bashed to death, if that matters. So that's it's non-counterable and pretty good against everything except for Falcon Rat Aristocrats and um, indestructible creatures. Sphinx's Revelation, we are playing 3 copies. This is because a fourth copy is not entirely ideal. I find myself just waiting for lands if I happen to draw them early on. So just having 3 copies and protecting them with counter spells in case I'm in a mirror match or control matchup is quite enough, and it can get you that necessary life gain as well as the card advantage. So pretty much a staple for whichever decks that can produce white or blue mana. Easy Charm here. This used to replace the extra copy of our Pillar of Flame. Reason being, it's really versatile, and I find myself having to enjoy it a bit because it can work as a removal against aggro decks. It can get you in out of situations where you are being mana flooded because you can recycle your cards through its other ability. And one of my favorite abilities on it is its ability to counter a spell as well. So you don't only have a removal, but at the same time you also have a counter spell. If you time it correctly, you can surprise your opponents playing non-creature spells, and if they happen to tap out or just leave not enough mana, then they will get charmed or is it charmed. So it's very versatile, and it actually serves as a additional copy of my counter package here. So aside from being a removal, it's falls somewhere between the two of this removal and counter package. So it's I really like is it charm at this point. And last but not the least, we have Aurelia, our win condition. She is such a I mean, no wonder she is the war leader because she really hits hard against opponent. I find myself sometimes even just casting Aurelia herself can bring down the game, provided that they don't have answers to that. So most of the time, I only bring her down if I have some sort of protection in the form of a counter spell if they try to remove Aurelia from the board, or I haven't someone to bring her back. Azur's charm sometimes help if I attack and they try to remove Aurelia with an instant speed removal. You can bring her back to your top of your deck, but that's very rarely that happens. But that being said, I this is one of our win conditions. Um, if you happen to play around your opponent and you are trying to get them to counter or they're trying to wait for to counter Aurelia, then you can just flash at their end of turn. You can flash your Restoration Angel, and then if they counter, then you have a window there of opportunity to counter Aurelia. Or most of the time, if they don't have counter magic, you just flash in Restoration Angel at their end of turn, and then during your turn, cast Aurelia, and it's almost like 12 damage in store for you if they don't have any flyers or don't have any answers. So it can pretty much give a solid clock or clock down your opponent very fast. There are times that I was playing against aggro decks and I pretty much end up racing with them, and I normally win the race if they don't have an answer to Aurelia. So that is our main board. We'll just go over it very quickly here on our sideboard. Our sideboard would compose of a terminus, which is our backup board wipe, and goes with the supreme verdict um, against aggro decks. I place an extra copy of terminus because, like I said, if you encounter aristocrats deck and decks with predator ooze or undying creatures, then it really helps us to stabilize the board. Um, So those are for the board wipes. We bring it during um, aggro matchups. Purify the Grave and Tormod Script I use for Reanimator decks. So given that we have access to Control Magic and um, I'm pretty much comfortable just running 2 copies of um, anti-reanimator decks at this point because I don't see much reanimator decks anymore. There was a time that they are really almost everyone is playing reanimator, but lately when I join dailies, I don't see them that much often, and I normally see aggro decks and Jund. So Purify the Grave and Tormentscape would be our answer for that. Um, just a note on the Purify the Grave. It is very cheap and it can really surprise your opponent. Provided also that it also has a cheap flashback, which is 1 white, and then I don't think there's pretty much other card that can top that, right? Just time it well against their Unburial Rites, and you should be doing okay. For our additional counterspell package, we have 1 dispel and 2 negates. So this comes in against control matchup wherein we need to protect our main threats like Aurelia or Thundermo Hellkite or other stops. So pretty much this spell is really good at stopping your opponent's um, Sphinx's revelation. So if there's a Sphinx's war going on, it's really very useful. This moving along, we have a couple of clone. This is particularly useful against legendary creatures, problem legendary creatures like Griselbrand, um, of course, Guys of Saint Traff, which is still lurking around in the form of Bant Hexproof. Um, the main reason I'm running clone is because of Jan's Aurelia, Olivia Voldaren. That card is such a pain, especially when you have established the board already. It can easily get back the momentum. So clone is pretty much the answer for that, and it's just a straightforward removal for Olivia. During control or mirror matches, clone is also useful if you have a feeling or you have seen your opponent having Aurelia as their main win condition. So pretty much it's very good in copying your own creatures as well. Of course, you're not gonna copy your own Aurelia, but Thundermo Hellkite, since it's gonna come in also during control matchups and Aristocrats matchups, then it really helps to have that hasty creature, additional hasty creature in the form of a clone. Jesus Memory Adept. This card, I've only had the chance of. I haven't really had much experience on running this, but from my friend, from most of my friends or most of the good players I know, they run this during control matchups because it sometimes turns into a Jace war, or if a player or an opponent is dependent heavily on Sphinx's Revelation or card draws, then you can sneak in Jace in order to finish the game for them if they don't happen to be running any psychic spiral or elixir of immortality at that matter. So it's they said that it's quite good against Jund. I'm quite skeptical because Jund has access to Dreadbore, but Jace can give you that extra card advantage if you happen to be on a top deck mode and you don't have any other cards. So hitting the his second ability, which is the discarder or the mill, hitting them 2 to 3 times against your opponent could pretty much end the game actually, or give you in a sweet position. Just be careful if you're playing against Reckoner Control that they normally fatten up their graveyard and then harvest fire you for for millions. So just try to play around that. We also have Thundermaw Hellkite. Pretty much I said we this comes in against aristocrats where they're quite heavily dependent on lingering souls to feed their aristocrat. Um, Other than that, if you happen to notice or if you see Esper tokens decks, it can also help out in eliminating those pesky lingering souls or spirits. Um, Detention Spear, second copy, just for that extra removal or permanent removal. And then we have Iset Static Caster here. I normally bring it in against aggro because a lot of aggro creatures are in one toughness. Not only that, but also against junk. Most of the time, or junk or bant, because most of the time, this type of opponents would run mana dorks, and mana dorks easily die to Iset Static Caster, and you can get 2 for 1. You can sometimes 2 for 1, even 3 for 1 them. Against aggro, you can flash it in to block a creature and then shoot another one. So it's really very powerful. Last card in our sideboard is Assemble the Legion. So I see a lot of UWR decks that is running it on the main board, but I'd rather just have answers or additional removal instead of Assemble the Legion because I don't really have that room to cast additional threat. However, that being said, I normally bring it in during control matchups or mirror matches because it really helps out in pumping out that extra threat. And when it starts to produce you 1-1 hasty guys, then it starts to become a very big problem against your opponent. Okay, so that's it for our sideboard and our blue-white red deck. We're gonna be playing the standard daily, and I just got off actually with the standard daily earlier, and I end up um, winning 4-0, but I actually split. My opponent asked me if we can split the prize, which I don't really mind. So I'm gonna try to do another daily right now, and then hope to see you guys there. Thanks for watching.